Hey everyone, welcome to the Roto Grinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevie TPFL. It's October, it's the 14th, it's 2016. It's Fun Friday, which means all the fun and everything around it on the podcast today. We're going to have a little change of pace here. We're going to have a little debate. If you guys followed Twitter today, you know that Siege had a nervous breakdown about late swap, and we're going to let him kind of give his thoughts. I'm going to give my thoughts on the whole situation. And we're going to talk some NHL. It's hockey season is back. CJ is actually really good at fantasy hockey. So he's going to give you some pointers, some tips, what to look for, some general strategy. I'm a noob in hockey, so I'm interested to see what he has to say. So we're going to do that. And before I introduce CJ, I'm going to talk about our friends over at rosters.com. If you guys haven't checked them out, make sure you head on over to Rosters, check them out, join the Morning Grind free roll. We're giving away $25 to the top four guys, so you're $100 in total there. Roto Grinders t-shirt and playing deck of cards for the 5th place finisher, and bragging rights. That's always good. If you want to play against me and CJ, make sure you guys are doing that. Use that promo code Grinders. That way you guys get the incentives here at Roto Grinders, and you get that awesome bonus that they give over there at Rosters. Also, we're going to continue to talk about this because they're giving away a trip to the big game here at the end of the season. 2 tickets, two plane tickets, hotel. It's just going to be a great trip for whoever takes that down. If you're playing, all you got to do is play $100 in NFL, and you'll get an entry into the championship ticket on week 7. And if you cash in the $25 tournament, you'll also get a ticket. So it's 8 entry max. This is the last week to pick up your tickets. So you can get 2 tickets, and you're still not playing against people that have 50 entries into this thing. So make sure you guys, if you haven't checked that out, check that out. I want somebody, if it's not one of us, to take down this and go to the big game here at the end of the year. We got our $100 in right after the podcast last night, CJ.
Yeah, you did. I did not. I have to get my act together and get that done.
We started to work on building teams.
We did, and then we got sidetracked by our battle with Dean and Luke.
We did, and let's just call them out. I am calling them out. All right, Team MG. I know you guys are behind us. You need to tweet at Dean. He does not want to play Sunday, Monday. This is the guy with the sweat show on Monday that doesn't want to play the Sunday, Monday contest. Yes, Sunday is the main slate, but this isn't, We're building mano-a-mano teams. It doesn't have anything to do with the main slate. It's go at him. Team MG, go at Dean on Twitter. Back me and CJ up. This is bull.
At Dean78904 if you need his Twitter handle. That's where you're directing your frustrations, and Team MG, pro Team MG tweets at. You've got the Monday Night Sweat Show. We don't play half slates here. We play the full slate. We're not like DraftKings. We're not going to cut games off the slate. Play the entire slate.
I just think they're scared.
They're just mad because they got this completely destroyed last week. They think that they go back to the other rules, it's going to make them better. No. Hint. If you want to just make the game worthless, just play John Brown, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, we're playing John Brown. We'll tweet at him. Everybody can tweet at him. We're playing John Brown. There's your block.
Yeah, just block. No problem. Then it's a de facto Sunday only.
There you go. I just wanted to call him out. I had to do it. It's just accept the challenge and be done with it. If you're gonna beat us, like they say, they're gonna beat us anyway. They think that we're trying to get an edge with the Monday night game. I totally destroyed him on Twitter saying our edge is just playing against him. Just play. If you think that you're going to beat us anyway, which you beat us by a Kelsey touchdown with 2 seconds and we destroyed you by 30. So I would be a little less cocky if I was him.
I think they're nervous. and they're trying to show it.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, let's get into this. We're kind of on the opposite sides here, and I get your side of this argument about having options. That's my biggest issue here, is having the options. But as somebody that has a kid, that has a family, that at 7 o'clock after grinding the whole day, we start at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning doing articles, getting prep ready for shows. the morning grind. I'm starting actually the night before doing this prep. I'm in this all day grinding this job. And at 7 o'clock, all I want to do is go spend time with my family. I love the fact that they have taken away late swap.
I think that that's fine. Like, I understand that part of it. I get that. But it's for one sport. It's not if it was site wide, I would be approaching it a different situation. They took out late swap on the one sport that you need late swap more than any other sport. They took it away because people were upset that people were using it to their advantage.
There's an engine.
And now they've created a whole nother set of problems, and it's like the fish aren't gonna they understood this problem, they understood it, and now all DK has done is dress up the cow in different lipstick. The problems are still there. Like, they added multiplayer eligibility back, which is a huge advantage to the Sharks. Huge advantage. And anyone who says that it's not a huge advantage is not true, because we've been clamoring for it ever since they took it away. We wanted it back. And then, with no late swap now, the mass multi-entry guys, me included, by the way, like, these rule changes, I should send DK a Christmas card. I get to have a life, and I get to make more money. Like, for me, I think DraftKings has done me a huge favor. But I think for the industry, it sucks. Now, let's say on the West Coast, you've got Steph Curry questionable heading into a game against the Kings. Well, I can play some Steph Curry lineups, and I can play some Sean Livingston lineups, and I have both situations covered. What are you going to do, Mr. Joe Schmo, at home building two teams? How are you going to handle that situation?
No, and I understand what you're trying to say, but I just don't think Joe Schmo cares. I think that
they don't care yet. They will when they find out that's why they're getting their ass kicked. They're going to always look for another reason why they're losing, instead of just saying that I need to improve my game and get better. It's going to be Joe Schmo is going to complain that now, like, this is the new problem. It's just like that they're just changing, like, what the issues with the game is instead of just they're kicking the can down the road instead of coming up with a real solution, which would be to add no late swap and have a have like a super utility guy. If your guy gets scratched, you get a guy who can come in for your lowest salary. But that would require programming work. That would require effort. Like, that would be the ultimate user experience. But no, they don't really want to do that. They just kind of want to make this oh, you're not getting beat by the late swaps now. Now you're just getting beaten some other way that you're not being worried about.
It was Fantasy Hub, right? One of the smaller sites that kind of went out of business. They did that. They gave you a bench player where it replaced your lowest scoring player. So
just do it for 0. So just like it only replaces you if your guy gets scratched. That's it. Because you know how many people are going to be frustrated and the user experience is going to be ruined if you have a great team going and you get it and then late in the West Coast, the Phoenix Suns decide on the back-to-back they're going to set Devin Booker. You know how annoying that will be?
It's annoying, but you're going to be on both sides of it throughout the year. It's variance.
Yeah, but that's the casual player. I understand that. The casual player is annoyed by that. Like, if you're going to go and try to fix the problem, just fix the whole entire problem instead of just doing it half-assed, is my complaint. Like, if you're going to do this, just go all the way and fix the problem as opposed to just creating new problems.
Yeah, but we say this, and, like, FanDuel basketball was very strong last year. Like, we've seen tournaments, just the same size DK, FanDuel, the same size basketball tournaments all year with no late swap on FanDuel. And we're saying this, but it didn't seem to affect users. And is DK seeing that they're missing out on people like me?
I'm sure they are.
Like me at 7 o'clock, I want to be done. Like, I am so sick of looking at my computer, Twitter, everything during basketball season. It's the worst. And you know this.
I know it's the worst. I understand that aspect. But what they've done is they've given the sharper players a bigger edge. Maybe they don't know they have a bigger edge yet. Like, big guy after big guy says I was nuts today. I guarantee you, come January, December, or February, I'm going to get some DMs going. You know what? Now that I only have one scoring system and one approach to worry about, I figured out how to optimize this, and I have a way bigger edge this year. I think the sharp guys that play multi-entries this year are going to completely crush NBA this year. It's gonna be record highs in terms of just winning from the best guys out there. Your Big T's, your Salils, your Rams. They're gonna crush as soon as they figure out how to adapt it to it, and it won't take them long because they're the best players for a reason. This has made the Sharks better, and they might not even know it yet. That's fine. But when you get multiplayer eligibility combined with no late swap, that's just a deadly combination.
I guess I'll put a disclaimer on this too. I'm a tournament player. So on FanDuel, I'll take risk anyway, even if I'm not like mass entering. I'll play a guy if I'm playing 5 lineups in 3 lineups that I think might play or might not, like depending on the situation. So
that's not Joe Schmo though, Stevie. That's why you're a shark. That's why you have this podcast.
No, but I'm saying like, so I'm throwing the disclaimer out there. Like, I guess I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I'm not the Joe Schmo, but I get the reasoning behind this. But the issue that I have here, like, I'm not going to go on a huge rant, but the issue that I have, if you're going to do it for basketball, do it for every sport.
Right. I'm with you there. If they had done this with completely for every sport, I wouldn't have had a problem. But they decided to do it for this one sport because it was just something that was bugging a certain percentage of the user base. And I guarantee you it wasn't over half. I guarantee you if they had thrown out late swap contests and no late swap contests, the late swap contest would sell out way earlier. Guarantee it. It's just a situation where the vocal minority was just trumpeting this move. And I think the vast majority of people were perfectly happy with the way it was.
Do you think it's more for the other sports? Let's talk about that real quick. For the other sports, so say with football, we get inactives an hour and a half before games. Do you think they're leaving late swap because of that?
But like, why? The edge is huge. They're not. I guess my question is, how is this any different than NFL Sunday? You have to be around your computer till 4:00 for the late news breaks, anyways. How is this any different?
But you don't. Like, inactives is going to come out at an hour and a half before game. You pop back in. You can have your laptop watching games. Like,
if the problem was just getting they created an alert system. They created DK Live. They created this alert system to let you know if players are inactive. They created the whole system. They spent a lot of money on it. And then they're like, this is just, late swap was a skill. We made this case to federal regulators that this is a skill game. And all I see we're doing is taking the skill out of it and adding the variance to the roof. What kind of argument is this? The next time they come around trying to attack us. We're taking the skill out of the game every chance we get. First, we're taking out Monday Night Football. Now we're taking out late swap here. What's next?
Oh, don't get me started on Monday Night Football. I don't know if we're really necessarily taking the skill out. Like, the edge here, the skill, like, is being...
Okay, the easily perceived skill. Let me rephrase that. Easily perceived skill to, like, a legislator. I think that there is way more skill in the way the game is going to go now. I think multiplayer eligibility... If they had not added multiplayer eligibility, I wouldn't be saying this.
A lot of people would have had a lot more stink with this.
Yes, they absolutely would. Because I think the Sharps have wanted multiplayer eligibility back. They've wanted it back for years now. They got it back. And late swap, yeah, it's killing your edge a bit, but it's not the end of the world because you're getting an edge with this, and you can take advantage of the other situations as well. I just think that this is a net positive for the Sharp and a net negative for the casual player in terms of ability to win money. And maybe in terms of experience, it's much better for them, but I just think that it's gonna really hurt the ecosystem in the long run.
At the end of the day, for a casual player, are they doing this more for the entertainment value and they're not really looking at what they're losing?
If they were trying to fix the entertainment value, then you should have added a spot to eliminate the 0. If you're going to go this way, take it all the way. This is just a half-ass approach, and that's my problem. If they had made any decisive action, I would be fine with that. I probably wouldn't like it, but I would understand it. This is just a half-ass, middle done. Like, I feel like it was done overnight and no one really thought it through. Because if you're just going to get rid of late swap in this sport, get rid of it in all the late spots. Like FanDuel and DraftKings, they didn't do all-day baseball this year on Sundays. Why? Because people didn't think it was fair before lineup lock. They didn't have all the information. The Sharps would just play Coors Field all the time without the lineup, and with all their combinations, they would hit the correct course combinations. And Joe Schmo thought it wasn't fair because they could use the mass multi-entry to create the best situation for them. How is that any different than the situation we're now creating for NBA? It's not. The best games are on the West Coast, and now we've created Sunday baseball now for basketball.
Yeah, it's true. I'm not saying that. I'm saying what they did made it more of a skill game. And I don't think you're going to argue that either. But that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm kind of in the middle. Like I said, I'm in the middle.
I think it's much more of a skill game. And I think when I said that, maybe I misstated it earlier. Like, it's more of a skill game now. But I think the common perception of the situation is that, like, they've taken, like, the Sharps have lost something here. The Sharps haven't lost a darn thing here. And I feel like that's where I'm concerned. I feel like it's like the guy thinks that they're getting a better shot now than they did last season, and I think that's complete garbage. And I guess that's where my biggest complaint is. I'll play by any rules you want. I'll figure it out. This is my job. I'll figure it out. It might take me some time, but I'll figure it out. I'll adjust. But what about for the casual guy? Guy who does this for a living, doesn't do this for a living, comes home from work and builds a team for fun and tries to turn on the TV. I feel like the conception that the Sharps lost here is my problem. The Sharps did not lose here. If you want to say the whole, like, getting rid of late stops so you can go out and having fun would be great, absolutely. I'm on board with that. Not arguing that. I think it's the perception that the Sharps lost here, I think, is what really bugs me, because I feel like I owe DK a Christmas card.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying. I do, but just trying to think as entertainment value, casual fan value, if you're making one lineup a night and say you get burned once or twice a month by a zero, is that going to make you stop making lineups? And by looking at, like, how good the FanDuel NBA product has been for so long, like, I just don't see it affecting that casual user. And I think they made it more of a skill game, which at the end of the day, we should all be happy about. Everybody that's listening to this podcast, everybody that's playing, any type of volume should be happy. Like, the 3-entry max tournament,
like, that take right there, that it's more of a skill game now, is not the common perception. We are in the minority on that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Like, I'm telling you, I've been dealing with this on Twitter all day. I've had more interactions today than I probably had in 2 months combined. Like, I'm telling, like, people think that the Sharps lost here. Like, that is the consensus take across the board. And I don't know if people believe that in the heart of hearts, but I just can't see how that possibly is true. Now, if multiplayer eligibility had not come back, that's a different conversation. But multiplayer eligibility is a very professional thing to add.
All right. I feel like we both kind of got off what we needed to get off. I'm in favor of this. I'm a person that at 7 o'clock, I don't want to look at my computer anymore. So
I just wish DK had solved the problem. Like, I'm happy I'm going to get a life now. I mean, my friends are going to love it. My girlfriend will love it, I'm sure. When she walks in, she's going to be like the happiest person in the world. But realistically, I just don't see I just don't know if this was like I think that getting away from the computer at 7 o'clock, if that was their mission, they completed it. If their mission was to make it easier for the common schmo to compete, they did not complete that goal.
All right. Well, we'll have to see how it plays out. Like, who's to say in a month from now they don't send out an email and say, we've seen that, we need to add late swap back. And who knows if this isn't, like, we can't speculate anything at this point on the legal side. What if this is a legal push from, maybe Texas or something where we're going to see some bills, over the next, I'm not like
it would have been site-wide, Stevie. It wouldn't have been one sport.
That's true too. That's why I said I'm not going to try to speculate on anything.
Right, they've been site-wide. Again, that's like a different situation. I just think the way that they particularly handled it really bugged me.
All right. Well, that's our thoughts. We're on opposite sides, so it's.
I don't feel like we're on opposite sides. You keep saying that, like I'm not I'm not like, hey, I want to sit in front of my computer all winter long from 7 to 10 o'clock. I'm not saying that. I just don't know if this accomplished the goal that they were actually trying to set out to do. I don't believe the goal was to get you off your computer at 7 o'clock. I don't believe that was the goal. I believe the goal was to try to make it better for the common player, and I don't think they accomplished that.
So let me ask you one question before we start talking hockey real quick. What's the bigger edge? Being able to take shots on guys that could be low owned because of injury news, or knowing how to pivot off of people with a late swap?
Okay, I absolutely think the late swap is the bigger edge, but you're not factoring in the multiplayer eligibility they gave us back.
Okay, well, factor that into the first
I
part.
think multiplayer eligibility plus the ability to take shots is a bigger edge.
Okay.
Because I don't think people will use multiplayer eligibility correct, because they didn't the first time we had it.
All right, fans, listeners, it's your take. What do you guys think? Hashtag Team MG, and let us know what you think. Tweet at me and CJ, and let us hear what you guys have to say on this. So let's talk a little hockey. Hockey's back. It opened up this week. I know you're excited about it. I know you're a hockey guru.
I love hockey. It's one of my favorite sports. It's baseball on ice. If you guys like baseball, the sport's for you.
The only thing that I know about hockey from playing over the years during the NBA break is you stack lines, right? That's my hockey tip.
It's basically stacking baseball, just like stacking baseball. You stack lines, you stack power play units, you can stack defensive units. So if you're playing on DraftKings, you have to play skaters from 3 teams. You can gladly go stack 2 lines and a defensive pairing with a goalie. And that's a common play. You can stack 4-3-1. So you play 3, stack a line of 3 with a defender. You stack a line of 3 and then just play a one-off defender. There's a whole lot of different ways to go about it. But basically your goal is to end up having exposure to 2 different lines and a goalie. So that way, if your lines go off, you're going to get massive scores. Now, the reason why, of course, that you want to stack lines, I guess we probably should start from the beginning, is that goals and assists it's an event-based sport. It's like baseball, where home runs are the event. Here, goals are the event. So you get a goal and 2 assists most times. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 0. But obviously the guys that are going to get the assists are the guys that are on the ice with the guy that scores. And that's how you know who's going to be on the ice with those guys, because they're normally in the right lines.
Okay. So if I'm a hockey noob, so let's talk Vegas lines. It's something that we use a lot in other sports. From what I've seen for hockey over the last years, trying to read a Vegas line is 5.5 and 5.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing with that type? Am I even looking at Vegas lines for hockey?
I think you're looking at spreads more than you are at totals. I mean, totals are great. Total moves. It's kind of like any sport. When you see a move, that's obviously something you want to consider. Sharp money comes in late. It's just like any sport. Sharp money is the best money. So when you get a chance to tail it, it's always a good idea to do so. But you look for spreads and spreads that look off, and that kind of having a little familiarity with the sport is helpful. But teams on back-to-backs, you're looking to attack road teams when you're facing a team that's on a back-to-back, because back-to-backs are tiresome. And if a team is not playing a back-to-back and is playing another team that's a huge advantage for that team. 3 games in 4 nights, kind of like NBA used to have. If you can catch a team on the back end of that, that's a good advantage to take advantage of. So it's situations like that. You're looking for teams that shoot the puck a lot, get a lot of power play time. Those are good things to take advantage of too. If a team commits a lot of penalties, that's a good thing, because power plays are most likely time goals are going to be scored. So there's all sorts of like little things you can do. The thing is just that advanced stats in hockey are just not where they are in the other sports. So it's a lot more fundamentals in hockey.
So what you're saying, all right, so what you're trying to say, so hockey might be a sport. If you have an hour a day, you could definitely play this type of sport?
Yes.
So it's not a sport like baseball where you need those 3-4 hours or just the Morning Grind podcast, to be able to play a type of sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, of course, you can go deeper into it, and there are players that are better than me that do that. There are some Corsi's and a stat. There's a couple others. If you really want to get into hockey, I really think you should spend the $50 and go get that marketplace package that was put together by the Roto Grinders guys. They did one hell of a job putting it together. I'm still not even halfway through it. I've learned a fair amount through it. I think if you're trying to pick up hockey, even as a hobby, it's definitely worth the read.
Yeah, I've seen it, and if I was going to play hockey, I'm not going to play hockey. I'm just going to tell everybody right now, I'm not going to play hockey, but it is a season for hockey. it's a slow Friday, and why not talk some hockey? So back to spreads and stuff. So me being a tournament player, if I have three teams that are pretty heavily favored, and let's just say two of them are super chalk. So what you're saying is that third team has opportunity as well, and probably a better tournament stack.
Yeah, absolutely. And the things that the top two lines of the teams are the ones that are always stacked the most, because they get the power play time, they get the most ice time. So you can get contrarian by playing a third line. You can get contrarian by stacking a power play unit instead of a line. You can get contrarian by taking an underdog in a high total game. It's kind of like baseball, where underdog pitchers go under-owned, underdog goalies go under-owned. It's a similar aspect like that. So definitely underdogs don't get as much respect as favorites, kind of like baseball. Baseball to hockey translates very well.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to get some tips that people that are listening can listen to, because I'm not going to use them. So it seems like really I should actually be playing because of how much baseball that I play and how much I love baseball. I actually love going to hockey games. For what it's worth, I love going to the Lightning games just because they have like this Lightning thing where the Lightning score, which doesn't happen very often. But all right, so you talked about going contrarian with third lines. We've seen, it wasn't a young like rookie first game on the third line had like 4 goals on opening night.
Yep. I did not win money that night. Actually, I came close to even. I was really proud because I had none of him. But yeah, Austin Matthews of the Maple Leafs scored 4 goals in his first NHL game. Pretty sick. Is there
stats that you can kind of look at, like how goalies give rebounds or anything like that? Like, is that an advanced stat? I just feel like that would be an advanced stat.
It could exist. I wouldn't know about it.
Somebody needs to make that. Like, how much is a goalie given a rebound?
I'm just looking quickly through this thing, and there's a lot of graphs over here and a lot of advanced stuff here in this article that it looks like I need to read. So I'm not your best guy to answer. I call myself a profitable fish in hockey. I know enough to be plus EV in tournaments, but there is no way that I am any sort of expert like any of these guys on RotoGrinders. They are way better than me. I just use Vegas lines, stack up the lines, try to exploit some road teams. But I mean, there's obviously a lot more to it, obviously, if you're trying to get in depth.
Pace in football, pace in basketball, those are things. Is there such thing as a hockey pace? Like, is
absolutely.
there teams? Yeah, I'm guessing there's teams that play faster than others.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's teams that are a lot more control based, and there's teams that shoot a lot. You're obviously looking for teams that shoot a lot now, with DraftKings and FanDuel having the same scoring. Shots are good. You want your goalie to face shots. It's kind of like if you try to roster a control pitcher on FanDuel, you're super reliant on the win, as opposed to like where, if the guy gets strikeouts, you can give up a couple goals and still be all right. So it's kind of a similar situation. I kind of view you want your goalie to face a lot of shots but still win. That's the key.
All right, and we don't ever play pitchers against hitters. I'm guessing we don't play goalies against, skaters.
Nope. I never have done that. And I won't start now.
What about, I know I'm throwing a ton of questions at you, but you kind of expected this. What about stacking 2 lines from the same game, from the same team? Is that a thing?
People try it, but basically you need like the team to score 6 or 7 goals and have it be exactly from those 2 lines. And you still have to play guys from 3 teams too. So you would have to. I think there's a max of. Actually, there might be a max too. What's the max these days? I should have looked that up before I started answering the question. I think you can play up to 5. I think ?
I can't get it to load.
I can't get the rules to load either. I think it's 5. So I think you can kind of stack 2 lines, but you don't really want to do that. Don't do that. Even if you can, don't do it.
All right.
Also, by the way, if you want to get into hockey, tomorrow night's probably going to be your night. DraftKings has a $60,000 $3 tournament on a 3-game slate. Overlay, baby.
So it's a good night to.
I will be stunned if there isn't Masters of Overlay in this. Stunned.
All I'm seeing here is rosters need to consist of 9 players, non-goalies from at least 3 different teams. So technically, you could play six, right?
Yeah, maybe you can do 6.
So you can't stack 2 lines.
Don't do it though.
No, and that's what I'm just asking. Like
Game stacks are fun. So like you play a line from both sides, and you just hope that the game just goes nuts. Kind of like your game stack in baseball.
Another thing, goalie news is huge, right? Like, you find out throughout the day who's going to start at goalie, and sometimes it's the backup, right?
Yeah, you normally get that information pretty early. The only time you don't is on the back-to-back where they might not have a morning skate. So you normally get that information pretty early. There's some situations where you might not get it, but you still have late swap on DraftKings, so you should be all right there. You like that?
Yeah, I did. It did. It made me chuckle, as you guys could hear. Any other thing that we need to be looking at here for hockey? I feel like I can build a hockey lineup now just by stacking some Vegas lines.
Yeah, I think that's the key. You stack your lines. Stacking power play units is key. If your line is a power play unit, that's awesome. Like that's gold. Yeah, I think we kind of got most of it pretty well figured out at this point.
I guess the last little thing is, you want goals.
Good job, Stevie.
Eureka.
Yes. You want to score all the goals and you want all the assists.
All right, so real quick before we get out of here, Dodgers-Washington Nationals, they're in the 9th inning, and Jensen has thrown 37 pitches, and they just rolled him out in the 9th to face the top of the order.
Well, that's a must-win game, I guess.
You know who's warming up in the bullpen, though?
Joe Blanton?
No, Clayton Kershaw.
Didn't he just pitch yesterday?
He did day before, right?
Yesterday, wasn't it?
No, they traveled back to Washington. So
they actually had the off day. That's right. They had an off day scheduled in there?
Yeah. So if Jensen gets Trey Turner here, we could potentially see Kershaw come in to face Bryce Harper and Danny Murphy.
I mean, I don't think they're warming him up with the intention of not bringing him in.
Like, I guess at this point he's full blown like throwing too. So we're gonna have a fun little sweat here for some playoff. It's playoff baseball. Playoff baseball is great. It's not great.
Stevie, I love you, buddy. How about you just wrap up the pod so I can go watch?
We're gonna do that right now. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Good luck, everybody, in your football games this weekend. And I want to watch some good playoff baseball here.
All right, I'll let you get out of here, CJ. Make sure you guys head on over to Dean's Twitter feed and destroy him.
Point. At Dean78904.
And there's still plenty of spots left in the Roto Grinders Morning Grind free roll over on roster. So make sure you guys check that out and get in it now. And good luck in your contest. We'll be back on Monday, and we'll see you then.